Hello and welcome to episode 40 of the Link Building Show. Today I'm joined with Oakley and we're going to be talking through his campaign on how much video game characters would earn if they worked in the real world. So Oakley, tell us a bit about where the idea came from and how the campaign got started.
Yeah, so this was for a gaming client. So I had the idea when I was driving home from work one day and I just thought, yeah, that sounds like something that would be really interesting to me, so maybe it'd be interesting to other people. I thought it was a little bit bizarre, a little bit wacky, and sometimes those are the ideas that get picked up the most.
How did you go about beginning the research for that idea?
Yeah, so I started by looking to see if anybody else had already done this idea. It turned out that a couple of people had done similar ideas to what I was going for, but a couple of years ago. So I sort of used inspiration for that. I took some of the video game characters from previous studies that had done it as well, and sort of collated multiple video game characters across different video game websites and things like that to create like a definitive list of like top 50.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and then after that I used a salary comparison website which gave me the average salaries for, say, Mario's would be an Italian plumber. I worked out the average salary for a knight, which obviously is not a job title that you can still get these days, but yeah, so Link from Legend of Zelda, he is obviously a knight in the video game.
Yeah.
So I worked out what the value of his salary would be in the modern day based on a knight earning 2 shillings in the 1300s. So then, yeah, he obviously featured in the list as well. One of the lowest earners.
So once you had your list, once you had your knights and your plumbers, how did you go about forming that into a press release, and then where did you distribute it to?
Yeah, so in my press release, I wrote about the top 20 highest earning video game characters, and then I also wrote about the lowest earning video game characters, so the bottom 20. And then I also included some honorable mentions, so video game characters that are really well known, it would be sort of difficult to miss out. So I thought that would be interesting. It could also include that in the headline as well, might grab people's attention a bit more. So in terms of distribution, I distributed it to gaming websites, but then I also distributed it to like regional newspapers as well, because I thought it was a bit of like an interesting story for the gaming sections of a lot of these websites. So yeah, so it got some really cool pickup. It got picked up in the Express and in Gaming Bible, which is Lad Bible's like gaming subsection, which I thought was really cool.
Amazing. Did you distribute it to any journalists that maybe weren't so game specific?
Yeah, so also journalists that covered just general tech, and so it didn't have to be necessarily gaming, but I looked at journalists that had covered similar topics. So for example, if they'd covered anything sort of related to gaming within the past couple of months, they were also included in my lists of distribution.
So overall, during the course of writing and distributing the campaign, was there anything that stood out that was quite interesting about the campaign?
Yeah, so for example, when I was looking on Salary Expert to find the different average salaries for each of the video game characters, not every salary was specifically available, so I did have to sort of branch out a little bit and use different sources for my information. So I used, for example, like the UK and US Army websites, and also like federal pay bands, which was also useful because a lot of the video game characters were soldiers or like different ranking soldiers, so there wasn't always that available on like one website. So I sort of had to branch out a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of data that you don't really come across very often when you're writing campaigns, kind of more in-depth into army jobs and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting. So what do you think the campaign did do as well as it did?
Yeah, I think what's interesting about it is a lot of people can relate to video game characters. A lot of people know, say, like Mario or like Link from Legend of Zelda, for example, and it's not something that you typically think about, but it's something that's kind of interesting. It's interesting to think like people like to use their imagination. I guess in this campaign you are using your imagination because they are fictional characters.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's what sort of is interesting about it, and I guess that's why it got picked up.
Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you for your time, Oakley, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Link Building Show. Thanks for watching.